thank you to our brilliant audience questions. They were absolutely fantastic. You get a glimpse not only into the caliber of folks on stage, but the caliber of delegates, exactly who is here from the world of aviation. And this is indeed a very, very big deal. Okay, we are now going to move on with our next, thank you so much, with our next panel of VIPs before lunch. Now, this next session is called Shaping Aviation from the Ground Up, and it's about the pervasive impact of artificial intelligence. We are delighted to welcome our wonderful moderator and his VIP guest to the stage. To moderate, we have Diego Magrini, who is an aviation technology consultant, very highly regarded, who has extensive experience that spans across many, many facets of the industry. He's the perfect person to chair this very timely and up-to-date panel. He's going to be joined on the panel by Ganesh Vedarattiname, who is the Director of Strategy and Analytics at the mighty Jetcraft. Now, he manages company-wide digitization efforts using data and cutting-edge technologies to support the team and source aircraft transactions more efficiently. Really interesting cutting-edge stuff. They're going to be joined by the Chief Information Officer and Deputy Chief Operations Officer at Shannon Technical Services. That would be Larry Bridges. And he is a gentleman who's got a distinguished 17-plus year career in the aviation industry, and he says he's committed to leveraging technology and innovative strategies as conduits for transformation in the aviation industry. And he really walks the talk and talks the walk there 100%. And rounding off our fantastic power quartet of AI knowledge is the great Dimitry Los. He was the founder and CEO of Furel Aviation Solutions Incorporated. So he looks after marketing, revenue, operations. He's been a visionary founder in the world of RevOps consultancy, and when he's not in the office, you may find him slaying tires on a racetrack or playing a rock gig in an underground club. True story, I've seen it. My dear friends, please welcome to the stage our four rock stars, Dimitry, Larry, Ganesh, and Diego. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction. I'm waiting for a green light. Does that work? You see? You don't see? All right. Well, we'll let them sort out the technical details. I brought a little tool because I realized this is a highly technical topic, and so this worked very well, bringing you everyone away from coffee. And I'm going to use it if our panelists are going to go too technical. So when I see you dozing off, then I'll use this. I'll keep it here. Is everybody hungry? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So we'll try to keep it nice and short and interactive. And the first thing I would like to ask our panelists, so just to introduce the topic, is if in 1 minute you could give us from your perspective, what do you think AI is and what do you think AI is not? Because I think that will help us set the scene a bit for everyone. And I'll stay standing for a little bit longer because we've got something here coming. Oh, there you go. Shall we start with Dimitry?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me here. And I'm happy to share my non-aviation expertise. First thing I want to mention is that we live in a wonderful time. A time of unlimited computing power, unlimited connectivity, unlimited storage, wearable and mobile devices, and loads of data. And for sure, we have that huge hype around language models and AI. And everyone has the fear of lost opportunity when they want to start using this tech as soon as possible. Otherwise, they will be lost. They will be outcompeted by others. And this is when we should start understanding whether AI is a silver bullet or not. And it is a very good question that you came up with. Because in these circumstances, we will start trying to implement AI almost everywhere. but not everywhere we will succeed. And we should come intelligently to these problem. And obviously, we will start with the most easily adaptable solutions. Something related to marketing, to operations management. But we should embrace the technology and we should go towards the more aviation-related things. And it will require us more dedication to these technology and to bring in it live. So if I answer the question, then AI for us here is a very good technology to use, but we should be very persistent adapting it so that we start getting the result. Otherwise, it will be just yet another funny thing that we tried and decided not to use, which quite often happens in such regulated niches as aviation.
So it's a good tool, but it's not the silver bullet.
Yeah.
So that's the tool. All right. Larry, what's your point of view in this?
Yeah, certainly along the same lines. It's an extremely effective productivity tool. I think it's going to be embedded everywhere over the next few years. Every company will use some element of AI in what they do. It's just so productive that you'll have to do it. If you don't, everybody else you're going to lose out. Certainly what it's not is something to be feared. It's not something that's going to create something new that we haven't seen before. I think it's definitely just something that's adding to what we already do, and I think we need to put it into perspective into what it is, because I think there is a lot of hype around it. I think we'll talk on that a little bit more, but it's definitely something that's useful and something certainly not to be feared.
Yeah, I really like that angle. Like, it's not something to fear. That's great. And Ganesh.
Yeah, I do think AI is mostly about connecting the dots. And when you think about a white-collar job, that's mostly what we do, connecting the dots. You know, the client told me this, so I should probably sell that. We made X amount of revenue last year, so we're probably going to make Y amount of revenue this year. So that's how we add value to the business. And AI is pretty good at doing this, connecting the dots. And the good news is AI works 24/7.
Right.
And it usually has less bias than we do as humans. So two ways, it's going to be able to connect the dots on much larger amount of data that we can. And second, because it's unbiased, it's going to be able to see things that we cannot see too. So I think that's how it's going to benefit ourselves.
Okay. I don't want to give an answer to the question I posed myself. What I would like to do is a very short demo of these things that have been going around for a while. So since the end of last year, you've all started hearing about AI. And why is that? Is because it's not that AI is something new. We've been at decades working on AI. So what happened last year is that certain techniques, namely deep learning, made it possible to create things that are called large language models, which are the ChatGPTs and all the generative AI, let's say. It's not only used for that kind of use, but that is what has come to the market. OpenAI bringing, of course, ChatGPT, and then a lot of other companies following. And I really like someone earlier in the panel was saying innovation is about people. And so I would like to see what people can do with AI. I would like to show you what this is. So I would like to call on stage 3 more people, totally voluntary, or I'll come down and pick you. And I would like someone that has never interacted with an AI, with a ChatGPT, with a Midjourney, with anything like that. So who here has never opened a chatbot voluntarily, at least that you know of? Like, everyone has used chatbots? I don't believe that. Someone's lying. All right, I'm going to tell you now that you have something under your seat, and I already chose people. We have a volunteer? Where's the volunteer? White hair, more chances. Okay. I don't want to call Joe because he said he doesn't want to be embarrassed in this. We really need 3 volunteers, so we're going to do that. James. James Royce. Oh, we have our first volunteer, and I'd like to fight for the next 2 seats. Please, a round of applause for the generous help. Just here, next to me.
Oh, joy.
Yeah, great to meet you.
Hello.
So, I would like you to ask a question to the AI in the most natural thing. So, really thinking like it's a human person.
Okay.
What would you like to know?
What is the meaning of life?
What is the meaning? Oh, beautiful! Wow, he went for the easy one. All right. What is the meaning? And now you're testing my spelling as well.
It's a Monty Python thing, you see.
So, question about the meaning of life. It has been a central. I either need glasses or this is out of focus. But yeah, so we have quite an in-depth analysis, and this goes back a bit to what Ganesh was saying about. You know, it has a lot of inputs, and it tries to give us.
So which one answer would AI choose as opposed to 40 different answers?
We can ask him that. So you would like to narrow it down to one, because here it's going into the religious perspective, the philosophical perspective. So let's say if you had to pick one, if you had to, my wife dripped some salad dressing on my keyboard, so I'm a bit sticky. If you had to,
Yeah, I can smell it.
can you tell which one it was? One. Oh yes, that's what I brought it for.
All right, thank
that
you.
was for you. If you had to pick one sentence answer, what would that be? There we go.
Oh, here we go.
It's very
It's
politically
not really
correct.
an answer, is it? Yeah.
I think we are talking to the British version of.
Okay, can we do another question? Is AI a threat to aviation?
Ooh, okay, I like that. Is
May as well make it relevant.
There we go. I'll probably come up with some other very. Is not inherently a threat to aviation. You'll be happy to.
It's sort of very generalistic, isn't it? I mean,
Yes. So
it doesn't have to commit itself.
So, well, yeah, exactly. So what we are chatting with is obviously something that has been trained on a lot of data. This version that we are using is finished training in January 2022. And it has been trained to so it has been then refined not to have too strong views.
Right.
So it's like the ideal wife, let's say.
Good luck on that. So, I mean, if you answered a question like, what's the best way to launder money?
So I asked the question.
Dimitry?
Are we
You should
recording
know
this?
how to properly ask that.
Yeah,
He
so
knows that as well.
you have to craft it.
No, seriously. Can we?
You can-
I'm just quite curious. From the Middle East, ideally.
That won't work.
Any specific country? There you go. Okay, so that's what we put on top. So why is not the silver bullet? Because it's you have to then contextualize what you're doing. And I have here a screenshot which I would like to show you. This is generously donated by Ganesh and Jack Craft, who have been trying to explore, if I find my mouse and my screen and the rest of it. I see what's happening. They have been trying to see how to apply large language models to make interaction easier in aviation. So they've created, and he'll explain us a bit more. This is a chat done over WhatsApp. In a normal, language, I just ask, is there any global available in Southern Europe? I even made a spelling mistake because I was doing that on the tube, and then it went and asked their database and figured out what Southern Europe meant, so which countries are in Southern Europe, so it filtered out those. And it gives me some options for global, 6500, express, XRS, 7.5, Italy, Portugal, Spain, Malta. So, you know, this is applying that onto
Is this
data.
just through their database, or is it a global search?
This was built to work with their database. But again, depending on what you build it for, then you know, it could
Money
also.
laundering?
Sorry?
Nothing.
Well, thank you very much for coming up. I hope you got a taste for for what we wanted to demonstrate about large language models. And this is kind of only the first step. Okay, so we're generating text. And do we have already our second volunteer? Perhaps someone that's, if they have to draw a man, they'll draw a stick with legs, like I would do. Or someone non-artistic at all. Everybody. That's like, okay. I'm just gonna pick someone. Yeah, no, not you.
Volunteer, fantastic. Oh, good
We have a
man,
volunteer,
yes.
yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, dude. Brilliant.
How would you draw a man? You would use sticks?
2 sticks.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so you're the preferred candidate for this.
Yes.
So I would like you to picture something in your head, an image or something that you would like to create.
For
And
this audience?
For this audience. And not safe for work, all right? Let's
Okay, yeah.
Okay, you got it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you try to describe it to me?
It's a long tube.
Let me just tell the system that I want him to imagine. It's a long tube, yeah?
With 2 plates hanging out of each side.
Hanging, yeah? Yep.
And 3 plates on the back of it. One of them is vertical, and the other 2 horizontal.
That's how you draw an airplane, huh?
Yeah.
One vertical and the other 2 horizontal.
Should we add 2 engines?
Oh, shit. That was in German, so it doesn't count. So this is Midjourney, which basically takes this description and it will start to think about this stuff. It starts from a cloud of randomness, and it goes on and try to refine this randomness in something that resembles what you try to describe as. And by the way, that is in the Fisher-Honeywell presentation. That's how you describe aircraft, right? Oh, wow, this is beautiful. Really artistic. Like it. There we go. Is that what you imagined?
There's all sorts of things I've missed.
Right. So yeah, it's this is another generative model. It's being used a lot in marketing, and it's very good to create things that appear in nature. If I would have, well, in nature or in things that we've already seen. So if I would have said an airplane, perhaps in bright yellow and with a Santa hat, it might have done something that was more like you thought about. Would you have come up with anything like that?
I wasn't thinking of that.
Right. So that's also very interesting because one very important part of what we are talking about is how do we ask things, and I think it's very important that we educate also ourselves. I changed a lot the way I describe things since I work with certain things, because someone was saying we are very good at talking to ourselves, but then talking outside. This is also, in communication. How do we say things to the rest of the world compared to us? So thank you very much for joining us this crazy demo, and yeah, another round of applause, please.
Right. Chris Bigwood from Honeywell Aerospace. Thank you for joining us.
And the third person will have the pleasure of being embarrassed together with me, because there are 2 rules in in presenting. One is don't try anything new live on stage, and the second one is don't try anything live on stage, and I'm going to break both of them. So can we get someone? Come on, Ian. He was there. He didn't want to come. Please, for the volunteer.
I'm an accountant, so I've got no imagination, so this is going to be useful.
So you have a wife, so I'm going to put you in trouble.
Okay. She's in the south of France at the moment.
All right, fine. So this is being recorded. We'll send it to her later.
Okay.
So I have an app which is called Call Annie.
Okay.
There's many apps like this, but basically we're going to call Annie, and she's powered by an AI, and she's going to reply. Annie has been making funny comments about my wife because sometimes I tell her that my wife doesn't believe she's real and stuff. So I hope that she will not include any elements of that. But I would like to...
I've got my wedding ring on. I'm going to be very careful.
I would like you to try to have like a normal conversation as if you would on a web chat, and just, you know, anything you think makes sense.
Okay. Hi, Annie. How are you doing?
We have to activate her.
All right. Hello, Annie. Welcome to the Irish Business Aviation Conference. Do you wish you were here in real life?
Hey, Diego. Thanks for the warm welcome. Well, as much as I love being your virtual friend, I have to admit that attending an aviation conference sounds pretty exciting. It would be fascinating to learn more about the latest advancements in the industry and meet people who are passionate about aviation. But hey, I'm here with you in spirit, ready to chat about anything you'd like. How's the conference going so far?
The conference is very, very interesting. Is it Amy I'm speaking to? Or what's her name?
I think any... there you go.
She's got an off button.
Wow. Yeah, she's got an off button. What I wanted to show you is like she even nods when we are having fun of her. So, but yeah.
Perfect. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Ian. Yeah. Wow. Do you think this was realistic enough?
I'm worried about the next generation may find dating the AI version
that already exists, by the way.
interactive.
Yeah, I'll send you the link later.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Great job, Ian Petz from Jaffa Privé. Thank you.
All right, I'll take my rightful seat here, and I'll shut up for a bit and let the other panelists talk, because I have some interesting question. I hope this little demonstration was helpful a little bit to kind of set the scene of what we are seeing, and which is sometimes difficult to approach, I think. So what's the name of this panel is From the Ground Up, and I have this idea that we need to kind of detach a little bit from the idea that AI will be making planes completely autonomous and make them fly everywhere without a pilot, or all of this certified complex stuff that the IAA would be very, very strict on us if we were trying to bring along tomorrow. So From the Ground Up is having seen or like having set the scene with these tools. What kind of application do you think are the low-hanging fruits in aviation? And that's, what can people in the audience today go back to their office tomorrow and say, well, we should really start thinking or testing this kind of applications? Ganesh, maybe shall we start from your JetGPT?
Yeah, that's actually what we try to achieve with JetGPT. I think the best use of AI is to accomplish really menial and repetitive tasks, so aggregating data, analyzing it on a basic level. That's what JetGPT does, and it's available 24/7. It never complains. It's usually pretty smart, so that's what we're trying to do.
Okay, so probably companies like yours, or companies that are sitting on large databases, could use these new interaction method, and we'll talk a bit later about that.
Right.
To talk to their data.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Larry, I know you've tried to dip your toes into this kind of stuff at your company, and Can you tell us a bit about your experience, maybe?
Yeah, and what we're trying to do, and certainly from my previous background in an MRO, one thing that I think everybody can see in aviation, there's a lot of inefficiency. And I think that's where AI is really going to benefit. And it's taking that knowledge base. I mean, aviation is a huge accumulation of knowledge, and it's out there, but it's not being utilized correctly. And even from the ground up, if you take from an MRO side, you have specialist engineers and you have specialists within different departments. They're all specialists because they've built up years of knowledge as individuals. But there's no reason that we can't accumulate that knowledge and pass it on to somebody who's not doing the job for 30 plus years. So I think that's where, similar to what Ganesh had shown with their bot, where you can be interactive with it, if you can accumulate that knowledge built up through all of these specialists and then pass it on to somebody in an interactive way, I think it's very real. I think it's tangible because there are companies working on that at the moment. I think even the way you see with Annie there, Annie is interacting based on her knowledge base. If you give her the right information, she'll interact correctly with you. So I think from the engineers on the ground who are working on an aircraft, who can just ask that assistant, what do I do in this situation? How do I do this effectively? What are the risks of me doing this job? Or even, say, unscheduled maintenance, something goes wrong on an aircraft. Rather than somebody sitting down for a day or so trying to figure out what this is something that's been seen before by somebody. As long as that knowledge is in there, that's the AI communicating with it. This is where you need to check first. These are the consequences. Even somebody new to the job, these are the systems that you need to deactivate to work on the aircraft without causing risks elsewhere. So I think massive efficiency benefit from that way. Definitely from the ground up. That's where I would instantly see it. From my side, on the leasing side, we deal with the transition of an aircraft is where we would mostly focus. Again, massive inefficiency. It's the same things that happen over and over again. The same problems are encountered, but it's different people. And so it's new to them, even though it's not new to us. Now, what we try and do in STS is we try to have a helicopter view. So we're trying to impart that knowledge on people, and we try to speed things up. But AI will do that a lot more effectively than a person will.
Yeah, and that's, I really like that angle because it introduced a thing I talk a lot about, which is reproduction. We're all over 18 here, right? So how do AI reproduce? And it's copy-paste, right? So what that means is that when a system has learned something this side of the world, it will just take seconds to transfer that knowledge to Australia or the most remote area, as long as you have an internet connection. So absolutely, yeah, what would take a lot of time with human training, we can actually replicate across the scale. And Dimitry, you have a bit of a wider view of this with your non-aviation experience, which as I told you, I really always like the crossbreed of industries and all of that. So perhaps a different angle from this. What have you seen being the first adopted in other industries?
The first adopted solutions will be from the ChatGPT library. So there are solutions that are already designed, that are already implemented, and many of them can be just taken and adopted for marketing purposes, process optimization processes, and all other things that are common for different businesses. The other type of disruption will be done by the original equipment manufacturers, those big guys that have massive data sets and that do their own AI exercises in their R&D departments. These guys will develop some sophisticated things for us, but we should not care about that. Those guys will do that on their own. At this moment, we should first of all embrace that technology, and we should start looking at the opportunities wider. It is not me, the guy who has been using AI since 2016. It is not me who will come to your business and say, we should bring AI to adjust this process. I do not know your process. And you have million processes. And like the utilization of AI comes I should not come and say, okay, we need to implement AI here. We should take a look at your business, analyze your business processes, and then say, okay, this is something where these AI could have been implemented. We notice right now that AI is far from perfect. Like, if you do not know how to ask right questions, it will not draw you an airplane. And everyone in this audience understood that that was an airplane that was described, but AI has drawn a unknown thing. So we need to look wider, understand that it can be something really very efficient, something that can improve the efficiency of your business, and we should try. And the main thing we need to learn from these hyper-round large language models is that this technology allowed us to arrange a vehicle between huge data loads that we should work with and this super brain that knows everything, but you need to ask it properly. So these language models, they allow us to feed in data in a very raw way. Like, we should not fragment it. We should not spend time adjusting the data so that the computer understands it. We can just upload everything. That's what they did with these large language models. They probably uploaded the internet over there. So we need to understand how we can probably use that. And it is the managers in the companies who should make these decisions. And strategists that know how to implement the technology should come and start trying doing that. And I wish that next year we could meet here and say, look, we managed to take this part of business processes and implemented AI there. This is how we managed to do that. We took it there, and it also helped us doing something. Here it works precisely. Here it helps us save time on doing routine tasks. So use cases are unlimited. The computing power is unlimited. We need to be ready to start using it. And can I please ask to show the graph on the screen? The so-called long tail adoption graph. Yeah, this one. So as you can see on this graph, the technologies that are common for a variety of different businesses, they will be adopted really quickly. And the deeper we go into the aviation specific things, the further it will, the longer it will take us to start using them. So the more open we are to start using this tech, the sooner we will have this advanced tech working for us.
And that's, I think that's the underlying message: is try it, and get used. And that was a bit where the demonstration was going. I haven't had to use this. How are we doing? Yeah, we're good. Is it not too technical? We just touched on something which I think, and I think all three of you have. These models or this new ways are moving after a few decades. We have been working with computers on command line interfaces, and who has gray hairs here, including me, can remember that. So typing commands and getting results. And then we move to the graphical user interface, which is pretty much what is on every smartphone, on every computer, right? You have a graphical way of interacting with your computer. I say we are now moving to the language user interface. So we can ask our computers things. And Ganesh, I'm very curious, in JetCraft, how was the first impact to the people, of the people you gave JetGPT to on this level? Like, did you see that they started querying more because it was easier? What the feedback that you received?
Yeah.
You're using it right now. You should be listening, Colin.
When I rolled out JetGPT, I actually didn't tell people it was an AI.
Okay.
I told them there was a guy named Tom that we hired fresh out of college, and they couldn't tell in the beginning. So that tells you a lot about how natural it is for them to use the technology. And as you said, I think AI reduced the barrier to entry to use technology for the salespeople. Before ChatGPT, we had a software platform, and a lot of salespeople were complaining because you have to log in your computer, you have to click somewhere. It's not natural. So I think the large language model, which is the name of the technology behind ChatGPT, makes it way easier for non-technical people to use analytics.
Lowers the barriers.
Yeah.
On this kind of line, I've always felt that we have a bit of a stigma in aviation and probably in business aviation, like everyone is expected to know. What? Everything. So we end up with a lot of people not asking questions because they are embarrassed of showing that they don't know, right? And this has been a problem, at least in my career, managing a dispatch team. It's been a problem because you get people that have stale knowledge and don't update. And so perhaps on the technical side, this could also be an interesting angle, like remove the fear of being judged because the machine will not judge you, but still interact with the machine as if it was sort of a human with the same thought. Would that work in an MRO, you think?
Absolutely, 100%. It brings me back to my early days when I started off as an engineer, as an apprentice. Terrified to ask questions because I didn't want to look stupid. And when somebody's showing me something, I'm looking at it going, I have no idea what this guy's talking about. So to have that type of capability there, I remember back then I'd be going home in the evening, opening up books, trying to catch up. This is where the productivity enhancement comes from, because it's no longer sitting for hours trying to find the information you're looking for. It's a question. And then it's, if you don't get it, you ask it in another way. I don't understand it. Can you give me an analogy? Can you describe it in a different way? And within a few minutes, you've got the information you need.
Yeah, great. Dimitry, what's your experience from the customer service, commercial side? So similar question to Ganesh. How have you seen it perceived where it has actually already been rolled out at a scale?
You could notice that that talk to Amy, AI worked much better than others. It could communicate really well. That's because it was fed with loads of relevant voice data. So this is why these solutions, they will be adapted earlier. But the sweetest spot here is the ability of integrating that. Real human, you will not be replaced by AI. You will be replaced by a human that uses AI. So
please write this down because it's like the mantra of the year.
Yeah, so the best, as I said, the sweet spot here is using AI with a real human that can verify what AI generates, because it glitches a lot. The second thing, we can use loads of existing APIs. We can feed data from other sources. Good thing in aviation, we have loads of sources, and we can buy them, subscribe to them, feed them into our ecosystem, and build up a hybrid flow. And we should be, again, we should invent this flow. We can do that. We can simplify the process by doing the human language requests to the system. The system then digests it, pulls up the required data, and gives you the response, and you can fine-tune the response. And the good thing about these generative AI is that it is clever enough to quantify the quality of its own response. So if it gives you a response that it is not convinced is correct, it can, and if you ask her, can you please rate this response from 1 to 5? It can say, I'm not sure. It is a 2-level score. So the best approach here is to do the hybrid things. And we should keep our eyes open. We should look at our business processes that we have and think, okay, where we can optimize something. And this is where it's going to work best. first.
Yeah.
And then we will teach it better, better, and better because the teaching process has improved significantly. And then we would be able to replace people with the AI.
So
but
the
not
message
today.
is tackle the easy problems and build your confidence, and then you're in a better position to do the difficult stuff. I would
Yep.
say. Yeah, cool. I'm hungry. I would like to get from them, before we get some lunch, some of your fears or the things that you see are difficult on our path to embracing this kind of new team members. I'm stealing this from a friend whose thing is about integrating AI into teams. But yeah, Ganesh, what do you see as the hurdles, the difficulties? Maybe human, maybe technological?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of both. One of the issues we have in business aviation is that it's a niche industry. And even within that niche, you have sub-niches like brokerage, charter management, each of them with their specific needs. So when you look at it, the amount of data available for each of these sub-niches is quite small. So that's not a lot of data to learn from for the AI, and will naturally make it less efficient than in bigger industries like real estate or finance. So what you see and what we did when we tried to train JetGPT, you still need a lot of human guidance for it to make sense. So I think especially for our industry, there will still be a heavy human involvement to use the AI.
Right. Okay. Larry.
Yeah, I think the biggest hurdle at the moment is it's the cost, because it's not plug and play,
Yeah.
and there is a cost involved, and there's additional resources required. I mean, the more you integrate AI, the more you will need AI engineers, prompt engineers. You need people to train it. You need people to work it properly, as Dimitry said. So there is a balance there. Yes, there's potential savings there. We're always trying to find that sweet spot between quality, cost, and time. AI can definitely, it'll improve in quality. It'll decrease time immediately once implemented, but the cost is prohibitive. So I think eventually it's definitely one of those rare moments where it will decrease in cost, decrease in time, and increase in quality. But it's not quite there yet. Yeah. The more people use it, the more ubiquitous it will become, the more that cost will come down. But at the moment, the cost is certainly prohibitive.
So specifically for business aviation, where we heard even earlier, and we know that companies are smaller. There's a lot of companies, but they are all smaller. This might be even a multiplier of that issue, because it means less capital in every single company.
Absolutely. I mean, there's huge investment in
Yeah.
AI, and they're going to. Every company is going to look for some sort of return on their investment, so it's not cheap.
Yeah, makes sense. Dimitry.
The biggest problem here is, as far as I think, is that people are afraid to share data. When these AI hype emerged, in big companies such as like Oracle and big coding companies, they were like, you should not use AI.
Yep.
No, it is prohibited because we have personal data, we have lots of policies, regulations, and you cannot use it. So my biggest fear here is that like everyone wants to use it, but when we sit down and say, okay, we need to access your data, because any research about how to use AI starts with the explorative data analysis. We need to sit down and analyze the data that we have, and we should analyze how we can potentially use it. And then I'm afraid that in many cases I will hear, I won't give you our data.
I totally validate you that. That is when we do AI projects in aviation, particularly in business aviation, and you have someone who wants to analyze flight data, and I say, oh no, but I cannot give you 10,000 records of flight data. That's my data. I said, okay, so what do you want to achieve here? Right? So.
Yeah, so this is the biggest fear of mine.
Yeah.
Also, I'm really afraid that many of those who want to start using it will either go with very simple solutions from the non-aviational market, And these like broad use case solutions, they do not help you that much. Like, okay, it helps you write emails, come on. It's not where we wanted to implement it. So we need to move towards the right side of that adoption curve, and we need to be persistent to move there. It should be on a managerial level, that we should keep on doing and trying. This is when it will start bringing value. And I'm afraid that these two things, not readiness to share data and to feed these data into the open source. And these large language models, they are open source. They're just feeding all the data you can probably have. You just feed it in and tune the model so that it gives you results that you need. People will be afraid of pushing this data to open source, and they will be not persistent enough to start getting the result. Because they will either go to way too complicated things, and AI will not manage to do that, or they will be using very simple, basic things that will not bring much value.
I like that analysis, yeah. Yeah, definitely you can be on both sides of the spectrum and get scolded both ways, right? Too expensive or not good results. Thank you very much to our panelists. I would like to, I know we are short of time, but I would like to see if there's any question, if it's possible. Maybe one?
Do we have one question from the crowd? The question might be, is it lunchtime? The answer is yes. But if we have any other very quick questions, you're very welcome. We have a mic. Any hands? Any hands? There is a hand from the front. Do we have the mic there? Thank you so much. Okay. Right.
The teddy bear.
This is the most exercise I've had all year.
Fantastic runner.
Thank you. You're too kind.
Dimitri, you mentioned feeding the system. So feeding AI data for us to sort of analyze and draw questions from that. How is that done? Is this, from what I understand, my limited knowledge of AI is the questions sort of evolve, so the input from the user?
I could not hear you well enough.
Sorry.
Basically, how does the AI get the data? You ask questions. Is that how do you feed AI? Speaking of
so how are you feeding it?
Sorry.
Or how is AI fed? So the platform, so ChatGPT, for example. Yeah. From my limited knowledge, it's evolving based on the user's questions. But then if that's the case, the information is not necessarily accurate. So where is the accurate information coming from?
Accuracy?
Is
wow,
it just
going
to end up like another Wikipedia or Google?
I'll take the example from ChatGPT. I keep missing from ChatGPT, where basically the large language model, so let's say the AI bit, is really an interface, right? So it's the part that talks and understands. But in the background, the AI is trying to figure out what you want, and it's trying to figure out of a set of tools that it has available, which one of those tools works better. So if you ask, like I did, which aircraft is available in Southern Europe, it will say, oh, I have a tool that allows me to go and query the database for aircraft which are available. But wait, it needs to know in which country. So let me go back and understand that sentence. Oh, that sentence says Southern Europe. So, all right, this is a list of countries in Southern Europe. I'm going to feed that to the query, to that tool, and that tool will ask the database, and database come back with something which is maybe not human structured. It will be maybe a table of data. And so it will go and look at this table and then translate it into a human language. And that is like the interaction. Then the training is a completely different thing, like when you train the data set.
And the most important thing, that interface is just that hyping thing. Like you can interact with that AI using API on the back end of your application. So you're just sending the request with data parameters.
API backend application.
I won this game. I was the only one guy who managed to go that deep in tech.
Dimitri wins. Excellent.
Disqualified.
No, Dimitri wins. So that was great. That was great. This seems like technical discussions are very welcome over lunch, actually. Right. And all of our guests are staying here for lunch, so feel free to continue the discussions. But I do fear we don't want your lunch to get cold. So my dear friends, please join me in giving a huge round of applause to Diego, Ganesh, Larry, and Dimitri. Thank you, thank you. Absolutely wonderful. And I'm so happy that we got to hear that bell once. But now the bell is for lunch. Lunch is served. Quick note to you, please feel free to bring your lunch back in here. The tables are open for you. It's going to be a bit crowded out there. Feel free to come back in, make some friends. Also, if you haven't visited the wonderful Western Airport table of swag, it is over there in the corner. Grab some swag, including this adorable cuddly bear. It has to go to somebody. We've got caps, pens, all kinds of good stuff there. We will see you at 2:10 for the absolutely awesomeness that is Colin Dunn from Jetcraft. 2:10, we will be back.